Today on Drawbli.
Ben is drawing Alla Prima.
Oh, no longer Mario like our last video.
That was the last video. In this video, it's all American, baby.
Click that subscribe button if you're all American.
And comment below with ideas of what we can do to improve as artists.
And share some of your art online with hashtag Drawbli.
And let's get to it.
And let's do some
you
things.
said and like we have another thing we say there. We don't.
No, we actually, that's where we cut the video and then we come back and we record the rest later, yeah.
Yeah. So Ben, this is your first attempt at Alla Prima. What did you think? You like, you hate, you learn, you cry, you love?
Yes, no, yes, yes.
Ah, yes, the tears of a clown.
Dang, this was hard. So I think the thing that I struggled with the most was proportions, because the whole, at least for me going in, the point was to use these big brush strokes and just slap the paint down and kind of work quick. But I think more so the point was to do all that, but not necessarily do it super fast. Instead, take time to plan out like a really big brush stroke and get it exactly where you want, and then move on to the next one so that the next time you do it, you can do it a lot faster.
Yeah.
Because I think if you do it a little too haphazardly, it almost defeats the purpose.
At our
somewhat.
level, that just ends up sloppy.
It does end up a little sloppy, but still, I learned a ton from doing these, obviously. I mean, painting anything at our level, I think for anybody painting anything, even masters, you're going to slightly improve. You're gonna have some improvement, even if it's unnoticeable, even if it's something you don't see for a number of years later down the road.
Oh yeah.
You get a little improvement.
That's something I feel like I end up talking about a lot. Like, I don't know what I learned, but I did learn, just subconsciously.
I did learn that you can kind of leave everything else a little sloppy and refine your eyes a lot more and have it turn out okay.
Yeah.
Just by putting some more details in the eyes.
Absolutely. I just watched an Ahmed Al-Duri video that was exactly that concept, basically.
Yep. So I think I have 3 or 4 portraits here that I think 4. You did both of these first 2 that I'm doing here, and then the third one I just found from Pinterest, which you'll see in a moment. This one I don't have a ton of footage of because I, for some reason, forgot to record half of it. So you only get to see this beginning stage, which is lay down the light, lay down the shadow, add in like this Terminator line that's slightly more saturated.
Great contrast. Oh yeah, I like the way you went about that. Like, that is a structured way to approach that. I was so much more haphazard. Like, you had the idea of there's a Terminator line, it is more deeply saturated, and things like that. I was just like, I think I see a color over there.
There's a color, maybe. Yeah, it was hard. I think that this is, and here's the sped up version because I didn't record it all. I think that this exercise is something that, like you said in our last video, is one of those things that you're gonna have to do like 40 plus times before you start to have things kind of click a little more.
Yeah, very freeing to think about it that way. Like, yeah, of course it's not going to go perfectly well. That's the point of starting something new. You're not going to be great at first, so go ahead and get started. You thinking about starting digital art or physical art? Get started. It might not look good right away, but hey, you got to get that part out of the way. And that looks fun. I love all the colors.
That looks, there's slight hesitation, fun. Yeah. One thing I really do like about Ahmed's course, and this one I'll talk about in a moment, this disaster.
Aww.
One thing I really like about his course is that he does offer up a ton of different techniques for painting. Like, we're like a little over halfway through the course. There's some bonuses and extra stuff. We've gone through all the like fundamental things, but now he's like showing a ton of different techniques. And what's cool about that is you get to find a technique, 1, that you might really like, but 2, get to experiment, branch out, and get a ton of practice in.
Yeah, one might just really click with you and you're like, oh my gosh, this is how I'm just gonna create all my art from now on. And also pull from, whatever else you learned. Also, if you don't know, Alla Prima is, I don't think we said in this video, wet on wet painting. In traditional medium, that would be just going in with wet paint and painting on the next strokes before your previous layer dried. Probably very popular with oil paints, which don't dry pretty much ever unless you add some medium to them.
I think the point was to paint them quickly back in the day before they dried, but this one I tried, if you saw my reference was blurred, and then it got slightly less blurred, and then slightly less blurred as I was trying to work on it. That was my attempt going in to help get that Alla Prima big brushstroke idea in. This reference wasn't super great for that because it's very bright, and I just also really struggled with this painting.
I think you're doing great, though.
I also painted this when we were getting our pedicures.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I was a little distracted.
We did go get pedicures because we were going to go on vacation.
We were, and then it never happened.
It didn't?
No, we went on vacation.
Yeah, I was like, yes, we did. No, yeah, you painted this while you waited because we went to this pedicurist who's near us, who's only one woman who works out of her own shop, but she is like the most interesting woman in the world.
She's very
so
interesting.
it's worth it to book like 3 people at a time just to go hang out with her for that amount of time and listen to her talk because she's just fascinating. I think she's very interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. I like getting a pedicure.
Yeah.
I don't do the fingers, the
I don't either.
The manis.
I don't do the manicures.
I'm all about the pedis, though.
Yeah,
It's
they
great.
feel so good.
So this was my most recent one after a little
Yeah.
break on all
I
the
see you're
other
trying to-
Alla Prima.
I see you're trying to match the color.
So I'm going over top of the painting. I'm not picking from the image, but I'm hand picking the color, putting it next to the painting, and then I'm like, is that
Yeah.
it? No, a little brighter, a little more color.
That's what I meant, sorry, by picking, not
Right.
color picking.
Well, I'm explaining that for everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you know.
Gotcha.
So that's exactly like how I'm figuring out what colors to use there. And the colors do feel overall, like in terms of just simple tones, pretty close. So I was pretty happy with them. And then I started going in and refining. And then after I got down the basic stuff, I went in and then I started drawing on top of that. So I started drawing out my eyes, and then I'll go on to do like the nose and mouth and everything else.
Yeah, I love how the hair looks in this one. I think you just knocked the hair out of the park with your first attempt. It's big, it's curly, you gave it dimension and everything. I think you did a great job with that.
Yeah, I did really enjoy working on this one. One thing that I wasn't super happy with was that at the end it still felt really flat. It felt more graphic than I wanted it to, if that makes sense. Graphic 2D, like a not vector art, but it felt flat.
So it didn't show dimensional form, is that what you're saying?
Maybe that's the correct term. And maybe some of that could have been done with a little better shading around that side plane of the face. I'm not exactly sure, but that's why we're here watching it back so that we can learn from what we do.
Yeah, we should someday take the time to go back and count all of our portraits that we've done so far.
Oh,
and
yeah, that would be
figure
fun.
out how many we're on.
Yeah, that would actually be really, really cool to do. Or someone else can do that for us.
Or somebody else. So yeah, if you've been watching this long, count back please for us, but also don't worry about it.
No, don't do that. Just there you saw me colorize my lines, give them a little extra warmth.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep my lines in from the beginning if I enjoy my early lines.
And I see you're going back to lines here. So no longer the full Alla Prima, right?
No. In one of Ahmed Al-Douri's lectures, I believe he starts Alla Prima, and then after the fact he goes in and draws on top of it some finer details. So that's a little of what I did here, but I took it a little further than that. I spent a little more time on it, and then of course spent a lot of time just adjusting, tweaking, playing with stuff, throwing some splatters everywhere, which is a technique that I learned from way back when we painted apples, which was like one of our first lectures that we did here. Played around with that, and also he has freckles, so that kind of worked.
Yeah, it does. No, I think that was a great call. And look at that. He looks amazing.
And look at that! Abby, what happened to all your energy that you had this morning when you woke up with a burst singing songs and you stood up out of the bed in a rush and you were like, oh, where's my AirPod? And then you ripped your pillow off the bed and you were like, oh, there it is, Tooth Fairy, and then grabbed it and ran away.
Yeah, that energy.
Where'd that energy go?
Oh, I don't know. It's just I'm drinking my tea. I'm chilling, watching your chill artwork. that energy was there with the Tooth Fairy when the Tooth Fairy left my AirPod under my pillow. I sleep with an AirPod in half the time just to like listen to a book, and it puts me to sleep. It's like my little white noise machine. I'll listen to the same book over and over, specifically the Murderbot Diaries. Recently again. But I'll just put
Would
that
recommend.
on. Yeah, it won the Hugo Award. And if you don't know what that is, it's like the ultimate sci-fi book award in America. I think it's the American only one. There's one award that's like just for America, and there's one that's more worldwide, and I forget which one the Hugo
It's extremely
Award is.
important that you remember, so I need you to remember right now.
I don't
Abby.
remember. Anyway, Martha Wells wrote the Murderbot Diaries, which is about a security robot that overrides his government module, and instead of killing everybody, he just wants to sit around and watch his soap operas.
And it's very good.
And adventures ensue.
Would recommend.
Yes, booktube. Oh, we're booktubers now. Have you ever heard of a booktuber?
I have heard of a booktuber, yes.
Yeah, well, this is my foray into booktubing.
Well, should we tell everybody that we're booktubers now?
We're Barttubers because we're art and booktubers.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, hey, there's my finished painting. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully you also enjoy the Murderbot Diaries. And if you would like to enjoy more talk on the Murderbot Diaries, click that subscribe button.
And comment below with ideas of what we can do to improve our art.
Share some of your Murderbot Diaries online with the hashtag Drawbli.
And this is the part where we say
Goomba.
goodbye. The Murderbot Diaries by Martha Wells, winner of the Hugo Award. Read them today.
What if I don't want to?
Then don't read them today.
What if I've already read them?
Read them again.
Oh, okay.
This episode of Drawbli is sponsored by Martha Wells.